the Nats' first 3 runs. Ryan Zimmerman's 10th inning RBI gave the Nats the edge in their 50th win of the season. Today, Tanner Roark faces Kyle Kendrick. The Nats look to nail down one more before the break. So here we are, one more game in Philadelphia, one more game in the mythical first half of the season. The Nats and Hi Guys looking for a Curly W on the road today. Washington trying to beat the Phillies for the 6th time in 9 games this season, and they'd love to take a little momentum into that All-Star break. We mentioned on Friday they could go in 9 games over, and if you win today, you get to carry that with you all week until you play again on Friday.
Yeah, it's a big 4 days off. You want to go into the break with a couple of hits as a hitter, have a good outing as a pitcher, and a win as a ball club, so you have something to have some momentum with coming back.
We made a note on Friday night that Jason Worth against the Phillies didn't do a whole lot his first couple of years as a Nat. Last 2.5 years, he has totally turned that around.
Well, he did everything last night. First time up, he had an RBI ground out. Then this at-bat in the 6th inning, a 2-run job to right center field on a 95-mile-an-hour Cole Hamels fastball. And then fast forward to the 11th after the Phillies got 3 runs of their own. Ryan Zimmerman, Mr. Clutch, comes through on the 3rd straight fastball he saw from Jake Diekman and lined it into right center field. Mr. Clutch and the Werewolf getting it done last night.
And both guys kind of like Mr. July. You'd rather be Mr. October, but we're not there yet. Both of these guys have great career numbers in the month of July. And the Nats able to arrive at 50 wins last night. It's a nice milestone. But you identified a key going into this series, and almost every night, really, when this team scores 4, pretty much unbeatable.
I mean, it's unbelievable. 41-3 when they score 4 runs or more. So it's a race for 4 runs every single day with the Nats. And look at the record compared to the rest of the league. .932 win percentage. Who does that?
93.2%. That is absolutely crazy. Now, looking at 50 wins, we draw a little parallel because last year didn't go that well. When the Nats reached 50 last year, they were actually under 500. 2 years ago, it's a similar date to this. The record not as good, but you can draw a parallel to what happened 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's the race to 50 wins as well. I mean, you talk about Matt Williams' ball club and all he's been through, all the injuries the Nationals have had this year, and to be where they are right now in first place and healthy. Look out in the second half. Baseball expecting a big run from the Nationals.
A rare hiccup by Tyler Clippard last night, giving up a run in the 8th inning. But if you can get a lead late, the Nats are now one of those ball clubs. You better get them in the first 6 or 7 because now the back end of the bullpen's almost automatic.
Yeah, locked down 7, 8, and 9, and Matt Williams can get to that like he did last night. You have a good chance, and like you said, a rare hiccup from Tyler Clippard, but Rafael Soriano, as good as any closer in the league, a 1-2-3 save last night with 3 strikeouts.
So he made it to 22 saves last night. The ERA is under 1 run a game. He's throwing the slider, the fastball. He's attacking hitters, and he's at his best right now. So hopefully in the bottom of the 9th today, we might see number 29 untucking again. by Ocean City, Maryland. Put your vacation days to good use in Ocean City, Maryland. Book now at OCOcean.com. And by Navy Federal Credit Union. 4 million members, 4 million stories. Navy Federal Credit Union. It's going to be a steamy one in Philadelphia today. The guys have their faces painted, getting ready for a Nats win, and hopefully 9 games over 500 heading into the All-Star break. Visit TrainSearch.com to find your local Train Comfort Specialist dealer. Hard to stop a train, really hard. Morning rains. It's quite muggy. Right now we're in the high 80s. It is expected to possibly reach into the mid-90s during this one today. The Nats are 10th in the league in hitting, 6th in runs, 6th in home runs. And Ian Desmond, a lot of exposure between him and Kyle Kendrick. 37 at-bats, 15 hits, couple of home runs, 8 RBIs. Ryan Zimmerman's had 46 at-bats against Kendrick. LaRoche 35, Worth 27. This is a ball club and an opposing pitcher that know each other very well. And maybe some early damage. It's been his MO lately.
Yeah, the fastball 89, cutter at 87, so that's 72% of the time. Curveball 78. There's a lot of changeups at 81%. He's allowed 23 runs and 6 home runs in the first inning this year for a 10.50 ERA. A 373 batting average against in the first, so Captain Obvious says get him early.
Well, and some ball clubs have been doing just that to Kyle Kendrick this year.
That set the defense for the Phillies behind Kyle Kendrick. For the rubber match of this series, Sizemore, Revere, Bird the outfield, Rollins, Ashley left side, Utley, Howard right side, and Cameron Rupp. After a long game last night, gets the day game assignment here.
Ryan Zimmerman batting 5th today. I saw an observation by a Nats fan recently that when I thought about it made a lot of sense. It said that even though Bryce Harper hasn't turned things around yet, how much help has he been to Ryan Zimmerman batting in front of Bryce Harper? Zimmerman's been seeing some pitches to work with, and Ryan's been very good. So when Bryce really gets things going, well, we might even see more offense. 100 hits now for Anthony Rendon through 92 games of the year. Ryan Howard has struck out in this series 5 times. 10 in a row, our first career win against the Phillies not quite a year ago. They hit him hard one time this year. We'll set that up in the bottom of the first. Rookie umpire Toby Basner has the plate. Mark Wegner, crew chief Mike Winters, and Andy Fletcher on the bases. Denard Span ready. First one from Kendrick. Right in there. We're underway at 138.
Span 0 for 3 last night, but he walked twice in the first and in the 10th. Scored both times.
Span 4 for 20 career against Kendrick, and he slides one in there 0-2. Home run, 2 RBIs for Denard. Been on base in this series 4 times, 2 for 7 with a pair of walks. And a ball ripped into right. And the Nationals keep getting key hits in this series on 0-2 pitches.
Denard Span's so good with 2 strikes and so good with off speed in 2 strikes. Does a nice job of waiting right there on the changeup. Smokes it into right field, and there goes a no-hitter. Hearing rumors right now on the internet that Tyler Clippard has been picked to represent the Nationals in the All-Star game. It's not official yet, but the rumors are pretty strong. Ken Rosenthal, it's being reported on MLB Network, so we'll see what happens.
Well, we certainly hope so. The Nats deserve to have more than one guy, but one's better than none. And here's Anthony Rendon.
Well, none's a disgrace.
I know.
There's no other way to put it.
And FP, here's the thing about pitchers in the All-Star game. So they took Henderson Alvarez, a starter, big deal. Who pitches more than 1 inning in an All-Star game anyway?
Right.
So it might as well be a Nats reliever.
Well, besides the disrespect factor, I thought, it means something now. And if for some reason the Nats go on to win the National League, you would hope that they would have somebody there influencing the outcome of that game.
Absolutely. Well, Cameron Rupp couldn't find the ball. Denard Span did, and with the ball at the feet of the catcher, his good secondary league enabled him to take off.
That ball in the dirt. He sees Rupp, can't find it, takes off, heads up by Denard Span. Tried to pick it up with his glove. That's always a no-no for you youngsters out there. If there's a ball on the ground, even as an infielder, pick it up with your bare hand, not your glove.
You're going to call that a wild pitch. 1-1 to Rendon with a chance to move a runner or score a runner here. He'll offer at that one. Another pitch in the dirt. No swing, says Mark Wegner. So Kyle Kendrick in first inning hot water again. In his career, he's made 23 starts against the Nats, 25 games overall. 5-9 with a 4.86 ERA. And Rendon with a base hit. Span had to back up to make sure it went through. And the table is set for Worth, LaRoche, and Zimmerman.
A good piece of hitting here by Rendon. Not trying to move the runner. Got an off-speed pitch, hit it through the hole early in the ball game. And ends up moving Denard Span to third base. Good swing. Stayed through the ball nice. Sets the table for last night's hero, Jason Worth. And what did you expect from Worth last night with a full moon?
Yeah, I saw you guys show that shot right after the home run. Well, the moon's in its entirety is up there somewhere. We just can't see it.
It's somewhere.
So here's a day game for Worth, and first and third, nobody out. He went up ripping. Worth in the series, you might be a little surprised to know that he's only picked up one base hit. But he's driven in 3 runs. He's walked.
It was a big base hit. It was in the stands.
It was. And a breaking ball hit well to left. And going back, it's gone. Jason Worth puts the Nats on top by 3. Boy, he is on some kind of home run tear this week. A couple against the Orioles, a couple against the Phillies, and he's now driven in 6 runs in this series.
There's a full moon somewhere. How many Phillies fans are sitting in the stands right now going, geez, I wish we still had him.
Worth's RBI total shoots up to 53.
Stack and Jack.
By the way, when the Nats opened up that series against the Orioles Monday, he had 44 RBIs. Is he trying to be the player of the week again in the National League?
Good call.
Cal Kendrick just gave up his 15th homer of the year.
When a pitcher has numbers like Kendrick in the first inning, that's just a mental thing. That's sports psychology 101. Because you have a few bad first innings, and then all of a sudden you have reporters asking you, why can't you get through the first? And then it starts to get ingrained in your psyche. But, you know, the whole, it takes him a while to settle in. Well, no, it can't. This is the major leagues. You got to be ready from pitch number 1. Because you're facing the first 4 hitters, who are usually the best 4 hitters in the lineup.
Yeah.
First innings is the most important inning for a starting pitcher there is.
Sometimes in baseball, hard to identify momentum from one day to the next. But now, on the heels of 2 in the 10th last night, the Nats have scored 5 unanswered runs against the Phillies. And a 2-1 to LaRoche. 87 to the outside edge.
Well, 41-3 when they score 4 runs or more, so they're 1 run away from
the promised land.
You and I putting the headsets down and having an early All-Star break. See you against the Brewers.
LaRoche in the series, 1 for 8 with a walk. And he'll pull it to Chase Utley in right field on the shift for the first out.
Well, it looked like Jason Worth might have been fooled a little bit on the off speed, but he kept his hands back nice and got the curveball and rode it out of here. Bat flip, warm day. And I'll say this, the Phillies are swinging the bats well too, so you need all the runs you could get on a warm day game here at the bank, because Tanner Roark on a lot of days rest, you never know, and there's a Jason Worth fan.
Here's Ryan Zimmerman. .348 career against Kendrick, with 2 home runs and 5 batted in. And Ryan now hitting .328 over his last 16 games. Well, tack on 3 more. Came in with 23, now 26. And Zimmerman checks one to left. Lack of elevation kept that in the ballpark, so Brady Sizemore could catch it.
That at bat last night for Ryan Zimmerman. Jake Diekman was throwing 98, 99. And threw him 3 straight fastballs. A 0-2 fastball right down the middle, lined it to right center field. Last night's hero. And Mr. Clutch doing it again.
Well, here's another guy the Philly fans love to boo. And both of those guys have hit home runs in this series. Bryce not in the lineup last night, got in on a double switch later in the game. 1 for 5 with a shot over the scoreboard here Friday night. Let's go inside the numbers with STG. Since the draft class of 2010 was formed, most games, Andrelton Simmons, Harper not far behind, and Manny Machado. Look at those ages, 22, 21, and 20. Pretty good changeup by Kendrick, 81 fading away from Bryce. He's going to be called out on a run back fastball near the inside corner, and Bryce stands there still. Inning over. Span would start things off. Remember, this was an 0-2 pitch. Then Anthony Rendon to right, and Jason Worth 3-0 Washington.
He got traded to the Nationals today.
Either that or Adam LaRoche is taking a half inning off. Here come the Phillies. And I know FP made a big deal last night about Ben Revere and his singles, one after another this year. Is it only a matter of time before he's a leadoff hitter here in Philadelphia, hitting .295, 26 stolen bases. And of course, Grady Sizemore in their lineup now. Tanner Roark, not a good outing against the Phillies earlier this season. He'd love to turn that around with run support now.
Yeah, he'd like to just turn it around, period. And, you know, he's been strong lately, and the sinker's been up. You talk to sinker ball guys or guys that rely on movement and deception. When they're strong, they kind of throw it through the sink. I think that was the case the last couple of times. The Cubs had Tanner Roark's number. They hit him hard last time. 9 hits, 4 runs. Got 7 innings in, though. So he'll let you know early. First couple of pitches, you can see the movement on his fastball.
And, of course, he's the guy who got pushed back several days because of the rain out in D.C. on Tuesday night. Facing Grady Sizemore for the first time. Grady in the series, 2 for 8 with a walk. They've got him playing left field, which is where he may settle in if Ben Revere keeps getting base hits. And we'll see about the status of Dominic Brown around here. He's been swinging the bat well lately, but hasn't been feeling well the last 2 days and has been out of the lineup. And Roark forcing a check swing on an 0-2 pitch, 91 miles an hour.
Yeah, Sizemore, a guy that's had left knee microfracture surgery, hernia surgery, surgery on his lower back, surgery on his left elbow. So he's been banged up his whole career, and you would think he's just happy to be playing right now after maybe not knowing if he was ever going to play again with all that work done.
I just wonder if Grady feels like 31. You know, just watching him over the years and thinking about him coming back the other day, when I looked up his bio, I figured he's got to be 33, 34 by now, but he's still a pretty young man. And if he can stay pretty young guy, and if he stays healthy, he's going to help somebody. He flat out knows how to play. From Seattle, Everett Washington, multi-sport star in high school there.
3-time All-Star, 2-time Gold Glove winner.
And a mainstay of the Cleveland Indians for 7 years. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Roark throws a fly ball, but it's tailing to the seats. Bryce Harper over in a hurry to have a look.
To the defense for the Nats behind Tanner Roark. Harper, Spanworth the outfield. Desmond Zimmerman left side. Rendon LaRoche right side. Jose Lobaton getting the call behind the plate.
Now, Jose Lobaton in relief of Wilson Ramos, who's been catching a lot.
So that's the pitch for Tanner Roark that's always key for me. If he throws that front hip sinker and he can run it back to lefties and it's effective, and this is the first one he's tried today, and watch the movement, pretty good. And that's his out pitch with 2 strikes normally.
That's a real good sign. And this ball is playable to the right side. Anthony Rendon or LaRoche. That ball kept drifting. Kind of interesting. The flags toward left field, but that ball got up in the air, and Anthony and Adam are still talking about it.
Well, there's sun right behind him. If you look at the shadows of the fielders right now, whenever you see the sun almost right on top of him, look at, there's no shadow. So that's telling me the sun's right on top of Rendon. And they're dealing with the sun maybe more than wind or anything else right there. He's trying to shade his eyes. Good job of staying with that. Not an easy play.
Yeah, this is a day to run out your fly balls for sure. You should every day. And here's Jimmy Rollins, who's had a big series. Couple of home runs. Almost hit another one last night. And that fastball just missing. Jimmy, a 4-game hitting streak, 6 for 17.
Taken all the way.
Two for 4 career against Roark. And another pop fly. This one short center. Denard Span's going to take charge here. 2 outs. So maybe a few fly ball outs early and some ground balls to come later. And here's Chase Utley heading to an All-Star game again. Three for 9 in this series. Top 10 in the league in doubles. And against Tanner Roark, 0 for 1 career with a walk. And Utley's on a 6-game hitting streak with 10 for his last 23. Gets a low call for a strike. 1-1.
Keep the ball down there. He'll be fine today.
Let's go inside the numbers with STG. Talking about tandems at second base and shortstop for a long time. We'll get to that in a moment with Desmond and Rendon, hopefully building a tradition with the Nats. And of course, Rollins and Utley, there they are. And by the way, that guy with Charlie Gehringer, Billy Rogel for the Detroit Tigers. Long-time duos, and that may be one worth another look a little later when we can talk about some of those great duos up the middle. Meanwhile, the great first inning, Tanner Roark.
Wins all season long. When the Nats win and score 7 or more runs, you get 50% off regular menu prices at papajohns.com by entering promo code NATS50. So the way I see it today, the Nats are on pace to win this one 27-0. So that would give you about, what, 3 3/4 pizzas for close to 200% off. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's official pizza of your Washington Nationals.
Yeah, you might end up with a piece of the action. So that would be 27 runs on 27 hits.
Yeah. Be a good day.
Top of the second, Kyle Kendrick back to work. Long inning first time around, 20 pitches, 15 strikes. He'll face Desmond Lobaton and Roark. And Ian Desmond back in the lineup last night, had a couple of knocks. 2 for 5. Batting average at 243. 333 over his last 10 games.
Did you see where the Braves suspended Dan Uggla for insubordination for 7 days?
I found out about that when you told me about it, and it's not been a great season for him, obviously. hitting under 200 all year, occasional power, but basically replaced at second base now. Got to be a tough situation for a guy who has been a star player.
And the Braves aren't saying what happened. They're saying they're keeping the details in-house, but you can only imagine that a guy that's been sent to the bench was maybe asked to go into a blowout game yesterday and said, no, that's the only thing I can come up with. Or he just went Ferris Bueller's Day Off in Chicago and decided to have a parade. I still think he's got baseball left in him. He just needs a change of scenery.
He does.
He can help a ball club out.
2-1 to Ian Desmond. Ooh, that breaking ball was hanging a bit. Got out to the end of his bat. Howard to Kendrick. And suddenly, Kyle Kendrick is retired. 4 straight. The Braves are at the Cubs again this afternoon. The Nats and Atlanta still in that virtual tie, where the Nats have 1 fewer win, 1 fewer loss, but a little better in percentage points over Atlanta. Those crazy Mets are ahead again. They lead Miami 1-0 early. Marlins have lost 3 straight. And Lobaton had a good hack. Jose hitting at .221 left-handed, .203 overall. And he's 0 for 3 career against Kyle Kendrick. Target away on 0-2. And Lobaton pulling off that one as well.
Well, it was a 6th choice right there by Kyle Kendrick. He saw the shakeoffs, and it turned out to be the right one. Just a little cutter away for strike 3.
Tanner Roark 4 for 28 this year. And facing Kyle Kendrick for the first time.
Tanner Roark looking hitterish right now.
Well, they swing him around to the right. And he taps one on a couple of hops to the charging Cody Ashe at third base. So Kendrick settles down against the last 6 hitters he faces. First 3 guys, though, really hurt him.
second inning of work. After Roark's last outing, he said that he wanted to be better about shaking off his catchers and making sure to get to the pitch that he wanted. And I talked to Roark about those comments a couple days later, and he wanted to make clear that he wasn't being critical of the pitch calling of his catchers, more so that he just wants to be completely confident in whatever pitch he does go with. Matt Williams has a saying, "He who has the ball controls the game." And Roark said he really just wants to be 100% confident in whatever pitch he goes to. There have been times this season where he's thrown a pitch that maybe he didn't have 100% confidence in at that particular time, and it ended up having bad results for him. He's been kicking himself over those types of situations. So he wants to pick a pitch, he wants to throw it with conviction, and he wants to make sure that he really has confidence going into that pitch, and that'll lead to better results.
You know, guys that work fast, Dan, have a tendency to do that because they want to get it and throw it. They want to keep their momentum going. And you have to be totally convinced that the pitch you're about to throw is the right one. And I've talked about this lately. Shaking off a catcher is not the worst thing in the world. From a hitter's standpoint, it creates doubt. You start thinking, what's he shaking off from? What's he shaking off to? So I like that. And that's part of the maturation process of being a major league pitcher, calling your own game and maybe not so much letting the catcher call it.
And with Dan and FP, that's our AFCIA sideline report from AFCIA, the association for global security professionals. Ryan Howard, the second most struck out batter in the league with 115. 5 of them this weekend. In the series, he's 0 for 9.
And he was hearing it last night from the home fans here in Philadelphia. Struck out 3 times.
1 for 2 career with a home run, 3 RBIs against Tanner Roark. And a ball high in the air to center. Denard Span just kind of strolling over to it. STG takes us inside the numbers. A lot of numbers to look at early. And the Nats starters. March, April, okay. May, a little rough. And then in June, when the weather's supposed to warm up for the hitters, our guys turn the tables on them and have now for a month and a half.
A small sample size early.
Yeah. 3.10 for the entire staff is the best in the National League. Now here's Marlon Byrd, and he takes one right up on that elbow pad on the first pitch. As we mentioned Friday night, he's a guy who likes to jam the plate and just get right out there.
Well, you can't let Marlon Byrd get extended. He does most of his damage to right field. So trying to bust him in, two-seamer gets away and gets him on the pattern.
That's ERA, by the way, as a staff, still the best in all of baseball. Oakland is at 3.12.
I think they need to turn the base up here a little more.
I think all ballparks should turn up the volume.
What?
In everything.
Huh?
I find myself more and more looking forward to the start of the game so we can have some peace and quiet around here.
Well,
I love hearing the bat and the ball popping into the mitt. It's absolutely my favorite thing about batting practice.
And the game.
Yeah. Cody Ashe, a couple of hits. And he pops one up. Rendon out. Worth coming on if needed. Anthony's there. 2 outs. So 5 outs and 4 in the air.
All right, so you know the drill. It's time to tweet your photo using hashtag #MassonFanPhotos for a chance to have it shown in a future broadcast. That's brought to you by AT&T. Old school Nats hat, love it. A lot of fans making the day trip up here for this Sunday day game from DC.
Sure.
They'll all be heading back after the game, and it's nice to see him here.
Yeah. There won't be any traffic on I-95 going home tonight. Hope it's all in red, white, and blue. Here's Cameron Rupp, the catcher. This guy's swinging the bat pretty well. 5 for his last 11. And in this series, 2 for 5, 2 walks.
He had a big walk in the 8th inning last night that allowed the Phillies to score their 3rd run and tie the game up. Move the line to Ben Rivera's single.
Yeah, rare run given up by Tyler Clippard. Ross Detweiler came along in the 9th. kept things where they were and got his first win of the season. And I saw him this morning, and he said, boy, it's about time. Well deserved, and he's been throwing the ball well consistently his last several times out.
Well, he said he'd be getting bigger innings, and Matt Williams' confidence growing. And Ross Detwiler, the confidence growing.
Absolutely. And a 1-1 that's right in there to the outer half. So Tanner Roark, a strike thrower early in this one. 15 pitches, 11 strikes in the first inning. And a very late swing by Cameron Rupp. So Roark humps up and gets his first K. Top of the order, Span, Rendon, and Worth. Big time damage the last time these guys were up. That's early damage here in South Philly. From the Masson Chopper. A beautiful look straight up toward downtown and the Philadelphia skyline on a cloudy Sunday afternoon, but quite warm, quite muggy here. Here's our Freight Railworks Nationals 2-up, third inning. So the guys got off to a perfect start. Span the base hit to right, Rendon to left, and then Worth the 3-run homer to start the game against Kyle Kendrick. Jason Worth doing big time damage in this series with 6 runs batted in. Kendrick 30 pitches, 22 strikes. And since these 3 guys hit, he has retired 6 in a row. Now Denard within a base hit of his 31st multi-hit game of the year. So this is a good series for Denard. He has 3 hits and 2 walks. And we have documented some of the problems he's had on the road this year, not hitting nearly as high as at home. If this guy can do this on the road after the All-Star break, the Nats will really be on to something. Get him going on the road and get Bryce Harper going. Look out.
Agreed.
And a borderline 2-0 pitch called to strike by Toby Basner. See what Mercedes-Benz thinks. Close enough to be a strike. And this one over by the Nats dugout. It'll just get out.
Well, it's a good thing Mercedes-Benz wasn't here last night. It might have crashed. Because the strike zone was all over the place. And that's putting it mildly.
And that's Andy Fletcher, who's over at third base today. Hitters from both sides unhappy.
Kevin Franzen fan. Refuses to turn the page. And I love the glasses. I mean, what if a player wore those flip downs like that? Just put them on the end of his hat. Tell me how it feels. That's good.
And there was also a pitcher who came out of the game last night who wasn't happy as well.
Hey, look, Skip, I got my flip downs on. I'm ready.
Is there 4 inches in front of your eyes?
There's Kevin. And there's the flip downs. He is ready. Call him up.
These guys are busy.
Sorry. That's great.
3-2. And Denard saw another one close enough, so he was hacking. Marlins have scored a run. They've tied the Mets. 1-1 ball game, 4th inning. Well, the Nats have quieted this ballpark early on a Sunday afternoon. And a breaking ball. That's a hot shot. One hop. Jimmy Rollins. He almost waited too long. He took his time getting rid of that ball, and Span almost made him pay.
Tricky little in between hop right there for Rollins. Nice glove play. Watch the last hop. Kind of comes up on him. Takes his time. Has to hurry at the end. Just gets to Denard. I don't think it's close enough to even think about a challenge.
I just like the hustle. And Denard almost snuck himself a base hit there. Here's Rendon.
And he's getting high fives in the dugout for that hustle. Good call.
Outfield straight away on this guy. And he takes the fastball a little bit up. Anthony now hitting nearly .330 over his last 36 games with a base hit today. Jason Worth coming off his second 3-run homer of the season.
Second homer in as many days.
Yeah, 2-run shot last night. Hit 2 in Baltimore, or rather against the Orioles. The Nats have hit 8 3-run homers this season, a couple of grand slams. And thanks to our buddy Carter Myers, who hangs with us in the booth for stats at home and dropped that message to us as soon as Worth left the yard.
Only for the good games, though. Primetime games, big games.
2-1. Ooh, that breaking ball hanging a bit, Anthony. A little late for it. Kendrick left one up.
Tuesday night game with a couple of fifth starters going at it. We don't see Carter.
Only problem is on this staff now, it's hard to say who the number 5 guy is.
Yeah.
And a swing and a miss on a high heater. Kendrick, 3rd strikeout. He's retired 8 in a row since this Geico highlight 2 innings ago.
Well, in case you missed it, first inning, curveball from Kyle Kendrick. Jason Worth catches it out front. And he's hit a few taters in this yard. A few taters to right, a few taters to left. 3-run job there to put him up 3-0. So 6 RBI for Worth in his last 2 games.
And a big snap on that breaking ball. Yeah, how about that? 2 hits in the series. Producing 5 runs. A ground ball produced another. This time Jeep takes us inside the numbers. So Jason Worth suddenly atop the National League home run chart in the month of July. A young shortstop from second baseman from St. Louis muscling up. Colton Wong. McCutchen, you know he'd be on that list. That Pirates outfield getting a lot of notice around baseball right now. With Marte and Polanco, their rookie. And a 2-1. .455 on this count. And evidently a called strike. Maybe not a swing.
I'm going to say he swung, Carp. See what Nissan thinks about the pitch.
Oh, look.
Could have been both.
Yeah, could have been either way. A lot of times the umpire will point at the hitter if it's a swing. He kind of called that one right away. 3-2, and Worth gets under it. And it's out to center. Utley out. And the right fielder, Marlon Byrd, takes charge. And suddenly Kyle Kendrick has been pretty efficient with 9 in a row in a 3-0 game. Upcoming schedule brought to you by the Metro Silver Line, opening July 26. Nats will have the break off. They'll work out Thursday night. Milwaukee in for 3. WUSA 9 will join us for the Saturday and Sunday games, and on to a long road trip that'll take us to Colorado, to Cincinnati, and to Miami.
There's Big Marine ready for the All-Star break. It's had a very eventful first half.
It'll really be a time of reflection and contemplation for Matt Williams when he kind of backs away for a day or two and really thinks about his first 93 games as a big league manager.
Yeah, is he going to back away for a few, or is he going to make out lineups for the first 3 games back against the Brewers for 4 days?
I think we need to tell the skipper to give it a day or two. Just relax, watch the home run derby, the All-Star festivities. By the way, the Nats will see good pitching next weekend from the Brewers. Kyle Loesch, Matt Garza, Giovanni Gallardo, they're 3 starters. They missed Loesch in that series in Milwaukee.
Yeah, Matt talking about his All-Star memories, 5-time All-Star. He said he was in one of the first home run derbies, and Bill Murray was the announcer, and he popped up a home run. I vaguely remember this, and Bill Murray ran over to try to catch it, let him hit him. The ball hit him and then fell to the ground. Funny the things you remember, right?
Bill Murray. It's another Ben Revere base hit. Worth will cut it off to keep him at first. And the Phillies check in with their first knock, and this guy's heading for 300. 295 into that AB.
Yeah, singles machine. Had a couple of hits last night. Hit the ball hard once for an out. And picks up where he left off. Base hit here to start up the third.
So Ben Revere, 96 hits on the year. 6 doubles, 5 triples, 1 home run. Kyle Kendrick, a chance to get a run back here if he lays one down. And he does a very good job of deadening that ball. LaRoche to Rendon, sacrifice good.
The one thing I like, Carp, what Matt Williams was talking about all-star experiences last night. He said, when you're 25 years old, you might not realize the importance of the all-star game until maybe you're all said and done at 40. It goes by so fast. You know, some guys are talking about, I'd rather have the 3 days off. I think guys that say that are fibbing. There's no way that you can replicate or not want to go to an all-star game, for lack of a better term. And while you don't appreciate it at a young age, when you're all said and done, it's something you look back on with fond memories.
Well, it's on your baseball card. It's on your baseball resume forever. It's something that just separates you a little bit from the rest of the pack. And here's a guy who's been there, done that. Grady Sizemore, 3 straight all-star games, 06, 7, and 8 with the Indians. How good was he in 06? He was the 4th player in Major League history who had 50 doubles, 10 triples, and 25 home runs. Only Lou Gehrig, Chuck Klein, and Ducky Medwick, the year he won the Triple Crown, had ever done that. Just some amazing production for him with the Indians at Jacobs Field and around the American League. And then the elbow thing, one of the many injuries that Pete talked about, got him in 09. Wasn't even in the big leagues for 2 years until this season. It was Boston's opening day center fielder. Lines one to left. It's carrying to Harper, and Bryce sliding to stay with that one. Well hit, well played, 2 outs.
A good jump by Harper, ready for the baseball to be hit to him. Stayed up just long enough to allow the Nats left fielder to get underneath it, but good swing by Sizemore and a good play by Bryce Harper. Kind of slides into it right there. Not sure if he's going to have to lay out forward or more traditional style.
Jimmy Rollins popped up to short center. First time up.
You know what guys slide or dive at the last second a lot of times when you're in reach of the baseball? If you take that last step and maybe do a shoestring catch, your head moves, but watch when Bryce leaves his feet how still his head is, and it keeps the baseball still as well.
Look at the changeup by Roark. Jimmy Rollins thought it was a heater he was seeing. Some of the Phillies have had trouble here at home.
That was with 2 the other night.
Yeah, only had 2. The Phillies are 19 and 28 here. On the road, they're within 1 game of 500 at 23 and 24. And another ball to center for Denard Spam. Will bring him in. And that's it for the Phils in the bottom of the third. Tanner Roark got pushed back 3 days because of a rainout, showing no ill effects right now. By the DC Lottery. It presents the Friday Fun Concert Series at the Fairgrounds, 2 hours pre and post game each Friday. Fun to play the DC Lottery. You'll be jumping for joy. And by Night Point Systems, they offer the technology you need when you need it. He was introduced as the world-famous breakdancer Hannibal. He was here Friday night. And then when the Fanatic tried to duplicate some of the moves you just saw, it was an utter disgrace.
Yeah, he's breakdancing with his boiler. He's a loving fella, isn't he?
Mascots get to act at the ballpark like we all wish we could.
Or do. I'll tell you what, Carbo, a couple of Nats fans on Twitter between innings posted the YouTube video of
you just
Matt
showed
Williams
it to me.
and the pop-up and it hitting Bill Murray. I highly recommend if you have a chance to check
It is one
it
of
out.
the funniest things I've seen. I mean, Murray truly took the brunt of a major league pop-up. That was awesome.
Well, how cool would it be if he could announce a home run derby now still?
That would have to be at least a 7-second delay. I'm sure a Cinderella story would make its way into the commentary somehow. LaRoche, ground ball to Utley in right field, first time, and a breaking ball low and in. Adam is scuffling a bit toward the All-Star break. He's 5 for his last 37. Still producing some runs, though, getting on base for the Nats. He is 10th in the league in walks and 6th in on-base percentage. And for a change, that pitch not called a strike on him. You've seen it all year, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Kendrick pretty efficient. 20 pitches in the first inning. Trying to retire his 10th consecutive batter. And LaRoche will pop one over to the left side. That's a bit of a run for Cody Ashe, the third baseman. Had to reach up as the ball came twisting back.
I wonder if Ryan Sandberg's ever thought, well, I'm going to start a reliever for the first inning next time Kyle Kendrick starts and just bring him in the second.
Now that would be unique.
26 first inning runs this year, 7 home runs. And the ERA was 10.50 in the first, and it obviously went up with the Jason Worth home run.
That's half of the home runs he's given up. And when you look at the total number of runs he's given up this year, 64, it's more than a third of those. Crazy. Oh, there's another guy in his first full year as a big league manager. Ryan Sandberg did get his feet wet last year. That one tails back in on Ryan Zimmerman.
15 All-Star games between the two skippers here today.
How about that? Sandberg went 20-22 after they let Charlie Manuel go last year.
Ten All-Star games for Sandberg. So his first All-Star game in San Francisco. George Brett walked up to him and said, "I watch you every day on WGN. I want your autograph."
George Brett, huh?
And you're my favorite player.
How about that? Hall of Fame in 05. Drove in over 1,060 runs. He did start his career here in Philadelphia before moving on to the Cubs. Zimmerman reaching, taps a fair ball, it hits him, and he's out. Give the put out to the nearest fielder. That would be 2 unassisted.
Well, you helped me out right there. I was just going to ask you how you score that. Well, Tapper out in front of the plate. Ryan Zimmerman's thinking, I'm going to beat this out for a base hit, but it kind of hits the soft dirt and stays there, and he's out of the box. Ball hits him, and he knew it. You see the look on Ryan's face after the ball hits him in the knee out of the batter's box. He doesn't even continue to run because he knows he's out.
Yep. Here's Bryce Harper. First time up, Kendrick got ahead. And he buzzed him on the inside corner with a fastball. This time he goes away with 89 and ball 1. Dangerous count.
See, this is a perfect situation for a 3-0 green line.
Absolutely.
You might get something down the middle. Your swing is slowly but surely coming back. The game's starting to slow down. You're seeing pitches. And you might just get a fastball right down the middle and run into one.
That was 88.
Oh, cut fastball. There's a home run Friday, and it got out of here in a second. Don't blink. See the balance through the swing. Even on his first home run this year, he was kind of falling toward the first base dugout. That swing had perfect balance throughout. A violent swing where he didn't fall all over. He's getting there. Can't step out. That's too many shakes.
Three-one from Kendrick.
Well, it's a lot of pressure to put on a guy like Bryce Harper, but he's used to it his whole career. If he gets hot after the break, they have a chance to separate themselves. I know it's a very simplistic view, but he's that good.
And a changeup on 3-2 strikes him out. Bryce 2 for his last 27. They are throwing nasty pitches to him. 12 straight now for Kendrick.
modern art, one of the prettiest runs in the league on the trail right by there, and you'll see some crew races from time to time. 3-0 Nats head to the bottom of the fourth inning. Welcome back the Nats from the All-Star break and enjoy Freedom Fireworks on Friday, July 18th as the Nats play the Brewers 7:05 start. Post-game event will feature military pageantry and patriotic theme music, and will begin with a performance from the U.S. Army drill team. Call the number on your screen or go to the website for more details.
Well, when you hear that music, you know Chase Utley's coming up to face Tanner Roark here, bottom of the fourth inning. Roark, 39 pitches, 25 strikes. He's hit a batter, given up one base hit. Utley bounced out to Rendon, first time up. Chase Utley, 12th year in the big leagues now. He had 5 straight All-Star games, 06, 7, 8, 9, and 10. He was a starter. 4 straight Silver Sluggers in that time, and he's going back to the All-Star game this year. Right side, Adam LaRoche is going to do it himself. 1 out. Good to see a ground ball out. Most of the Phillies outs in the air so far.
A good hustle by LaRoche right here. Didn't really even look at Roark. You see the glove signal telling Tanner, take it easy, I got this. Good hustle by Chase Utley trying to beat Roark to the bag.
Ryan Howard and Marlon Byrd, the next 2.
So the coaching staff took me up on the coach's camaraderie run over to the museum to do the Rocky stairs.
Yeah.
And I told them it was a guaranteed win. They did it yesterday before the game. And they ran the stairs 10 times. It's about a mile to the Rocky stairs, and then they ran back.
From the hotel.
Matt Williams all fired up telling me about the run, and the rest of the coaches in the coaches' locker room giving me the stank eye.
You know, that's a sanctuary in there. You got to be careful about getting involved in their business.
No, yeah, I just said, hey, I got a good run for you, Skipper. He said, oh, I love it. We're doing it. So I walked through the lobby after I did it, and they were leaving right after. They all had headbands on and all their Nats gear, and they got pictures at the top of the stairs of all of them running at the top of the Rocky stairs, and it's just priceless. I mean, look for every coach to be about 30, 35 pounds lighter by October. They're saying the Skipper's killing him.
2-1 pitch. I had a coach once tell me that losing 10 pounds was like throwing a deck chair off the Titanic. We got a good staff, though.
They are. They're the best. Mark Wiedemeyer right there to left. Did not go.
Well, he's too busy working on defense.
That's what he said. He said he was here doing early work.
Yeah.
Hardest working man in baseball right there.
I might take him over Rocky, actually, one-on-one.
With the fungo in his hand, absolutely.
Yeah. Of course, Rocky a little on in age from where he was. (3-2) with 1 out here in the fourth. Roark and Howard. And Adam LaRoche is going to run to the bag for another one. And Ryan Howard is 0 for his last 11. Jeep takes us inside the numbers with Tanner Roark home and away. Got roughed up here in Philly back in May, and that's part of that was May 3rd, part of that 4.44. But at home, the ERA's always been good. And the league only hitting .241 against him in Nationals Park. But on that game, May 3rd here, a 7-2 loss. 7 runs, all earned on 7 hits in 4 innings. So it was a rough night. 5 strikeouts, couple of walks, 85 pitches.
We talk about all the home and road differentials. Steven Strasburg, a good example. Denard Spankarp, you mentioned earlier. Tanner Roark. As a player, you feed off your home fans. You love that atmosphere. You're up for every game. Nats Park has been full for the most part this year, close to it. And you're supposed to play better at home. It's easier for a player to play in front of your home fans, especially when you have the support that those guys have.
Well, and you always talk about the fact that you guys are such creatures of habit, and you got a routine at home.
The routine,
on the road, it changes every 3 days.
The routine thing is a big thing, but the adrenaline factor and the rush you get from hearing the home fans cheering for you is honestly something that I miss every day. It's a good feeling when you have a fan base like the Nats have that support you on a daily basis. Trust me, I played in Montreal for 4 years. About a 5 and 6,000s.
Great pitch by Roark to a guy. Marlon Byrd, who jams the plate. Case in point, first pitch, second inning hit him. If you watch him, he gets that left elbow right out over the inside edge. And a big breaking ball, he was able to wait for it and foul it.
Yeah, dude, some good seats.
Yeah. Byron Kerr, by the way, is reporting on the Nats website, or the Masson website, what you said earlier now about Tyler Clippard. And Bird hanging tough in there on a 2-2 pitch. Clippard evidently about to go to Minneapolis.
Breaking news, first place team has All-Star.
Yeah. Two. Fastball, right side. So where do you get Marlon Byrd out? You would think a guy who jams the plate up, he would have a bit of a hole in his swing right up here about shoulder high.
Down and in with the sinker. You know, he steps toward the plate too. You see how he's hanging out? He wants to hit the ball to right. He can hit the slow stuff to the pull side, and he can hit a fastball in if he's really looking in there. But the way to get Byrd out on a consistent basis, I feel, is really make him aware of the fastball in the inner half.
Yeah.
Just pound him.
Yep. That was a breaking ball hanging a bit. So at least a 9-pitch at bat here with 2 outs in the 4th. He goes off speed and Byrd out ahead of it. That's a pitch that'll strike out anybody, left-handed or right. And Tanner Roark with a second strikeout of the game. 3-0 Nats. On to the 5th we go.
The Nationals head to the top of the 5th inning. They're looking to add on to that 3 runs, and you are so looking forward to Austin Mahone. He's coming to Nats Park July 19th, part of Nats Live free post-game concert. It is presented by the Travel Channel. Live performances free with your Nats game ticket. You can also watch the show on the field with a VIP pass. Field passes will be available for purchase the advanced ticket sales window inside Nats Park starting 2.5 hours before the game. That's while supplies last. Visit nationals.com/NatsLive. Austin Mahone.
And this is Kyle Kendrick, who we could say through 4 innings has retired 12 in a row. But it's not a perfect game. First 3 guys got him. The Nats lead 3-0. It's Desmond, Lobatone, and Roark. And he cuts one to the outside edge. Ian Desmond, first time up, got a breaking ball, hit it right off the top of the barrel to Ryan Howard. And Kendrick will run that one back to the outside corner. And Desmond, short work for Kendrick to start off the 5th inning with strikeout number 5. The man is dealing. Braves and Cubs underway at Wrigley. Julio Teheran and Travis Wood.
So it's being reported now that Uggla was suspended because of tardiness, that he showed up an hour before Saturday's 3:05 game start.
Wow. Lobatone, a 2-hopper. Jimmy Rollins, 2 outs.
In his defense, that can happen in Chicago with all the weird game times.
Oh, okay. I thought there were other factors where that could happen in Chicago.
No, I mean, the Nats had that game, what was it, a 3:05 game on a Friday? Some people didn't realize it was a 3:05 game until right around noon.
Here's Tanner.
I don't know who would do that, but
Can't imagine.
Small panic set in.
Feel free to text me anytime.
The first 3:05 Friday game in 25 years in professional baseball.
Yeah, I've never heard of that either. Well, the Cubs TV situation is changing. They used to have those 2:20 games to give WGN all that 20-minute time to sell before a ball game, and they've gotten away from that.
My friend actually texted me and said, "Why is your game at 3:05 today?" I said, "Listen, what are you talking about?"
Breaking ball, and Tanner Roark's going to drop one into right center. So maybe Kyle Kendrick did a bit of a favor, speeding up his bat. And that's the first base hit for the Nats since the Worth first inning home run.
A nice piece of hitting, too, going down and getting a pretty good pitch by Kyle Kendrick. Said he looked hitterish his first time up, but look at him stay on that curveball. That's a good pitch. Staying through it nice, head to the baseball. Tanner Roark, baseball player with a base hit.
Yeah, breaks his span, if you will, of 14 consecutive hitters. And here's Denard. Base hit to right in the first, ground ball to short. Denard hit the ball hard twice against Kyle Kendrick today. And he'll get jammed on that one. And that's a little pop up for Jimmy Rollins, and the Nats are gone in the top of the 5th. That's their first base runner stranded today in a 3-0 game.
out the Nats out of the bottom of the 5th inning. You can win lunch with Gio Gonzalez. That's presented by Care First. Just text Massen's word of the day. There it is. Motivate to 29292 for a chance to win lunch with Gio. Care First, Blue Cross Blue Shield encourages each of us to take that first step towards a healthier and more active lifestyle.
Tanner Roark, 57 pitches, 35 strikes. 1 hit in 4 innings, a lead off by Ben Revere in the 3rd.
You say something?
It is loud here. Used to be the fans drowning us out, though. There's Cody Ashe, popped up to second first time, and a breaking ball stays up a bit. And ball ripped into right. It's a 9-game hitting streak for Cody Ashe, and he has a double to lead off the 5th.
A nice short swing right here. Watch how compact this is. Got a fastball in, right down to it. Cody Ashe continues his hot hitting.
The Phillies might be onto something with their young third baseman. He's made 9 errors, but a lot of young infielders make many errors their first full year in the big leagues. In fact, I think a guy in the booth to the left of us made a few his first year, Michael Jack Schmidt. His career turned out okay. Mike Schmidt comes over on Sundays and joins the Phillies for some of their TV games, and it was our pleasure to meet with him earlier. I know you got a chance to shake hands with him. He says he watches Masson a lot. He catches a lot of our games. There he is with Tom McCarthy and our old buddy Matt Stairs. You delivered the line of the year, though, when we were here last time. You said Matt doesn't do any commentary till at least the 7th or 8th inning.
Yeah, and it's just for 1 inning and 1 hitter.
1 hitter. It's good work if you can get it.
Yeah.
Cameron Rupp struck out first time up.
I'm shocked to hear that he watches the Nats play when he's not watching the Phillies.
Yeah. Either that or he really took me hook, line, and sinker for that one.
No, I mean, I haven't seen him in years, and he said, "What's up, FB?" So yeah he must. Well, you get the sense right now that the Nats are just hanging on to that 3-0 lead. They're letting the Phillies hang around. And you talk about a rubber match and wanting to go into the break with a good feeling.
Yeah.
You just need a few more tack-on runs and you'll feel safe. But right now, the way the Phillies have been battling and winning and swinging the bats, this one is definitely not over.
Well, I think you and I talked about that a couple hours ago. One thing the ball club needs to do better this year is add on. They've been taking more early leads than they did in April and May. That was really an issue back then. Good guys up next inning to do it if Tanner Roark can get a 0 here in the 5th. 2-2 pitch. Catcher on in there. Center fielder Revere on deck, and that's a swing. It'll require a throw by Lobaton to LaRoche for the first out. And that's strikeout number 3 for Tanner Roark. Rupp twice.
Well, off-speed pitch. Rupp couldn't hold up. A little bit too far. Now you got to get out Ben Revere. He's been as hot as anybody the last 2 days.
Ben Revere's been around for a while. He's 26 years of age. Broke in with the Twins back in 2010. Teammate of Denard Spans over there for a while. And a really good breaking ball. For strike 1. Speaking of adding on, let's add to our crew. Here's Dan.
Guys, you mentioned the add-on runs and the Nats needing to kind of not just sit on their laurels with their lead. It was interesting. The other day, Matt Williams was asked what he wants to see the Nats improve upon in the second half of the season, and he said we need more multi-run innings. We're getting runners on base. We're giving ourselves chances. We need to turn these 1- and 2-run innings into really crooked numbers. That's when this team can really start to click, is if they're able to put up those big innings. Obviously, that helps for any team, but the Nats are getting chances. Matt just wants to see more multi-run frames.
As all of us would. Man, you give this pitching staff any runs, you will win a lot of ball games. A ball and a strike to Revere, making good contact lately. In the series, 3 for 5. His batting average up to 297. That's a good-looking fastball.
So 2-strike count to Rivera. He's the hardest hitter in the National League to strike out. 1 strikeout per 11.59 plate appearances. Run back fastball from Lamar. Good pitch.
Perfect on the Nissan pitch track.
Try to bounce a curveball. See what they do.
That's what he tried. Pretty good job by Revere of getting the bat on it. It was diving straight down.
The reason you go with that, and the reason I said that, is once you show a hitter that 2-seam fastball in, you tell yourself, boy, I got to really get to that. I got to start my swing early, open up, fly open. And if you do that, you really can't hit a good curveball.
Big out here because of the runner at second and because of Revere's speed. Cody Ashe made a good decision because Lobaton pounced on that ball and would have had him at third.
Yeah, great block right here by Jose Lobaton. Spiked slider, I think, from Tanner Roark. Nice block. Revere with his elbows covered, checking it out before he strikes. It's kind of like a modified Joe Morgan he's got going right
Flapping
now.
that elbow?
Both of them. Kind of a rhythm thing that he does once he gets in the batter's box and he's ready to hit. Probably just a little key for him to tell himself to keep his elbows close together.
Joe used to flap his back elbow.
Yeah.
Like I said, important runner here. He can keep this guy off base. And a changeup will. Tanner Roark pulling the string big time. Strikeout number 4, and now he faces the opposing pitcher.
Well, that's a big strikeout for a number of reasons. Number one, Rivera swinging the bat well. And like we told you, the hardest hitter in the National League to strike out. Tanner Roark says not a problem. And the sequence between he and Lobaton was just fantastic. Working him in with the fastball and away with the changeup. Nicely done.
Kyle Kendrick's sacrifice. First time up. He has 3 hits this year. He's a 126 career batter with 6 runs batted in. Braves got 3 in the second at Chicago against Travis Wood. Julio Teheran pitching there today. Selected to the All-Star team, but one of 4 or 5 pitchers around baseball who are pitching today who were named to the either American League or National League All-Star team. Cody Ashe leadoff double. He's still there with 2 outs. And a fastball right in there.
Yeah, swing back working for Roark today. Nice.
I don't know, maybe because he used to be a reliever, he would be the one guy out of the 5 who 3 extra days would bother the least as far as his routine. Originally supposed to pitch on Thursday.
It's bothered him in the past. There was a start in Atlanta where he had extra days rest and he felt like he was too strong.
Strikes out the side here. So the leadoff double, nothing doing for the Phillies. It'll be Rendon, Worth, and LaRoche. Maybe time to put that add-on offense to work. I think it's awfully nice of him to shoot some Nats t-shirts up into the crowd here. And why not? The minor league organization as well as the big league club looking great. For the Achiever and You, PNC Bank with our minor league report. The Syracuse Chiefs atop the International League by a healthy 4.5 games over Rochester. Nats used to have a team in that league in other places like Columbus, Pawtucket Red Sox. Toronto was in Syracuse for a long time. They're in Buffalo now.
Scranton.
And the Phillies were in Scranton Wilkes-Barre forever. Now the Yankees are there. It's hard to keep track of all these teams. But the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs are the Phillies AAA ball club.
Scranton used to be the Red Barons back in the day.
Yeah. Rochester Red Wings.
What did you say? Rail Runners?
Is that what they are?
Railroaders? Roadrunners? And the Iron Pigs have never been the same since they hired Ryan Sandberg away.
Yeah. So it's Anthony Rendon, 1 for 2. Worth 1 for 2 with a big blow, the homer. And 0 for 2 Adam LaRoche here in the 6th. The Nats have 1 hit since that Worth home run. Kyle Kendricks retired, 15 out of 16.
Rail Raiders, the truck is telling me.
The Rail Raiders. Got it. As long as the Toledo Mud Hens never change their name.
Classic.
On a breaking ball away, Rendon fouls it. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Trying to get to that magic number 4 and adding on to that 3 in the first.
Bob Henley knocking it down.
Bob Henley getting booed right there.
Yeah, he could have thrown out the runner at first, though, if he wanted to. Boy, it just, you watch Rendon, you're just amazed at how he waits and waits and waits, and then still gets the barrel in the hitting zone.
Because he can. A lot of hitters don't have that luxury because their hands aren't as quick. Most hitters have to commit a click before Rendon does.
And there it is, right up the middle. 2 for 3 for Anthony Rendon.
All right, folks, remember our Washington, D.C. Lexus dealers are donating $250 to the Children's National Medical Center for every home run a Nats player hits this season. So keep them coming. It's for a wonderful cause. Lexus, the pursuit of perfection.
Keep booing him. Philadelphia has driven in 6 runs in this series. Jason Worth booed again. And the big blow of this one. He remarked about that home run he hit last night. He said, I made a lot of my money in Philadelphia by hitting the ball to right center field. Right where he deposited one last night. His RBI total is 53 now, just 2 fewer than Ian Desmond, who's led the ball club almost the entire season.
Well, based on
that ball gets away and Rendon to second.
Well, based on his contract right now, he must have hit 8 bazillion balls to right field there. A wild pitch right here, gets away from Cameron Rupp. Tried to glove it. Allows Anthony Rendon to get to second base with no outs, and I don't think Jason Moore's going to be thinking about moving the runner. And if he does, he's thinking about driving it to right field, not just getting him to third.
Yeah. That'll be strike 2. Runners in scoring position, 42 of his 53 RBIs.
See Jason with his right hand tell himself to stay on top of the baseball, pound down. You see the practice swing right there. That's all he's been trying to do, create backspin and look for the top half of the baseball. And when you stand tall on your backside like he is right now, it's allowing him to do that. Takes the loop out of your swing.
Way inside, it hit him. That ball just kept chasing him, and Worth is aboard. 2 on, nobody out for Adam LaRoche.
Just nicks his elbow guard, I believe. And just a little click, 2 sounds, take your base. Hard to tell on that side, but you could see it from the center field shot.
Adam 0 for 2. They can't play the big shift on him here. And that foul ball got Cameron Rupp. Home plate umpire Toby Basner will get some new baseballs, clean off the plate, give the catcher a moment to recover. So in this defense, Chase Utley has to play double play depth well onto the infield dirt, as opposed to about 40 feet out in right field. And LaRoche will lift one to right. It'll back up Bird. Rendon tagging. Ball caught at the edge of the track. And a productive out for Adam LaRoche. Anthony into third base, 1 out.
And just missed a 3-run homer. Great job of advancing Rendon to third base with 1 out just off the end of the bat. You see the follow through, and he knows he almost had himself a 3-run homer.
Well, Ryan Zimmerman's had a nice weekend. Couple of hits, 2 walks, 2 batted in, the game winner last night. He has driven in 5 runs career against Kyle Kendrick with 2 home runs. Last time he hit that ball that came up and hit him as he left the batter's box, Kendrick was working outside corner on him nearly every pitch. Anthony Rendon has scored 64 runs this year, 4th most in the league. Ball 2.
I see Kendrick missing below the strike zone. He's looking for the double play to end the inning. And Ryan Zimmerman is looking for something up to elevate. Just missed a home run his first time up with a screaming line drive to left field. Should be a healthy hack here if the ball's anywhere near belt high.
There's a healthy hack, but it carries. Runner tagging. Here comes Rendon. The throw way offline, and the Nats have a 4-run lead. Ryan Zimmerman hits the ball hard for the 2nd time today.
And even though he got the job done with a good at-bat, probably a little bit frustrated that he didn't get elevation on this ball, too. That's 2 balls that he's hit right on the money for outs today. This one a sac fly and a good at-bat. Got to a 2-0 count. Got a pitch belt high and drives it to right field. Good base running by Anthony Rendon, scrambling back to third base to tag up and score the magic number for the Nats. 41-3 when they score 4 runs or more. And yeah, I've said it 10 times today because I still can't believe it. It's one of the most outstanding stats I've seen all season long.
And Ryan Sandberg, seeing this one slip away, is going to go lefty-lefty, it appears, with Mario Hollins against Bryce Harper. Hollins has been warming up for a few moments. So Kendrick will go 5 2/3, and the Nats get him out. This call to the bullpen package by the UPS Store, your one-stop shop for all your small business needs. Let us handle your mailbox service needs. We love logistics.
Team issue gear. See the full selection of items at nationals.com/auction. Auction ends July 13th at 8 p.m.
Another great at bat by Ryan Zimmerman. RBI number 29. His 3rd in this series. And one of the reasons they bring in Mario Hollins, he's a rookie. But left-handers are 7 for 45 against him this year. He tied, or actually set a Phillies record with 19 consecutive scoreless appearances earlier this year. No Philadelphia rookie had ever done that. Born in Oakland, lives in El Cerrito, California. 10th rounder 4 years ago by Philadelphia out of UC Santa Barbara.
You see the fastball at 93. That's what it averages. Slider, cutter, change to go with it. But there is a lot of herc and a lot of jerk to that windup. Probably plays a little bit faster than 93. Look at this delivery.
Right to the outside edge. Oh, you never know when facing a left-hander. Might be just what Bryce needs. Got to work hard to keep that front shoulder in there. Stay on the ball. And a breaking ball way outside. Last two pretty easy takes, ball 3. Phillies bullpen 3.56 this year.
This is where you just let your hands do the work. He's supplying the power. If you can get the barrel out there and beat him there, you got a chance to do some serious damage in a 3-1 count.
He does, right up the middle. Mike Winters, the crew chief, had to duck that one. And Bryce Harper hits it hard up the middle. 2 on, 2 out. Big spot now for Ian Desmond.
Great swing right there. Works to a 3-1 count, which in and of itself is big. That means he's seeing the baseball well, especially off another left-hander. When you're not seeing the ball well, you don't get to 3-1 counts. He gets count leverage and throws the hands, gets the barrel of the baseball, and a nice swing from Bryce Harper.
2 hits, a hit batter, sacrifice fly in the inning, and a wild pitch. Desmond facing Hollins for the first time.
If you haven't seen Bryce Harper's Sports Center commercial, it's hilarious. He's watching Field of Dreams with Hannah Storm, and they watch the end, and his eye black starts smearing. And he's all choked up. He says he's got to call his dad.
That's great.
And he walks down the hall, and a couple of guys in the office look at him and say, boy, does he look mean with that eye black. A beast.
Hey, Dad, you want to have a catch? One of the great last scenes ever.
It's very clever and very well done.
Still my favorite baseball movie. 2-0 to Desmond. And he rips one to center. That ball is going and beyond the reach of Ben Revere. Worth will score. Harper, hair flying, screaming home. And the Nats have a 6-0 lead. And Ian Desmond, knowing Worth was getting close to him in RBIs, checks in with number 56 and 57.
Yeah, 15th double of the year for Ian Desmond is a big one to put the Nats up by 6. And I don't know how, because this ball was absolutely scalded, that Ben Revere got even this close to it, but he almost made the play. Watch this. Reaches out the last second. I think if he leaves his feet, he has a chance for it, but Jason Worth scores, and Bryce Harper wheeling around from first base. Helmet came off right around shortstop. Accurately described by my partner. Hair flying everywhere. Scores the 6th run.
Here's Jose Lobaton, turns around for the right side. So the Nats, and here's that add-on thing we were talking about. They not only add on, they slam on here. 3 extra runs on the Phils. Zimmerman hitting the daylights out of the ball, and Desmond as well. And now Lobaton checks in with a base hit. Desmond around third. 7-0 Washington.
And the fans go crazy.
Jose Lobaton's 11th RBI of the year.
A barrel overrated, hit that one right off the label, but perfectly placed. And Ian Desmond with 2 outs scores very easily to make it 7-0. Good for Jose Lobaton, checking in with a knock and an RBI.
And the rookie Hollins hasn't retired anybody. Tanner Roark now. And he takes a healthy first pitch hack. Tanner taking some Big time swings here.
See the Phillies on their socks have the Liberty Bell. Hollins has it on his. I think Grady Sizemore has it on his. Kind of down by the ankle.
Well, the Braves are ahead 7-0, and so are the Nats.
What would you put on the Nats sock if you were going to put something on there? There's Liberty Bell. Capitol? Monument?
Eagle. That's it for the Nats in the 6th. 8 of them bat, 4 of them score. RBIs by Zimmerman, 2 by Desmond, and Lobaton checks in 7-0. By Mercedes-Benz of Arlington and Mercedes-Benz of Alexandria. The Nats almost unbeatable when they score 4 more, and today they have 7. Jason Worth, 3-run homer in the first, and then the Nats able to tack on later because Tanner Roark kept the Phillies at bay. So in 5 innings, 74 pitches, 46 strikes. He has 5 strikeouts, working up and down. A lot of fly ball outs early, a couple of ground balls here and there. And a key changeup to Ben Revere right there for strikeout number 4 before he got Kendrick, who's no longer around. So going to the bottom of the 6th inning now. Top of the order for the Phillies. Well, we talked about the fly balls early. Hey, all it counts now, outs. No matter where they are, high, low, or strikeouts. And it'll be Grady Sizemore, Rollins, and Utley, a collective 0 for 6. These 3 today.
I keep doing what you've been doing all day, and that's attack the strike zone. Early and often.
Sizemore has popped to second, lined hard to left. Bryce Harper made a nice sliding play. Sizemore slow getting back in. And Tanner tried to get that fastball swinging back under his hands. Actually, that was a little off speed, 76, so he pulled the string on him there. Trying to work that inside under the hands. Goes off speed again. .90 right by him. He has struck out 3 in a row, and 4 of the last 5. Mercedes-Benz will track it.
Yeah, 2-1 fastball right down the middle, and Grady Sizemore trying to hit a 7-run home run, missed it.
Off speed, and that ball rocked into right. Phillies have their 3rd base hit. Let's check in with Dan.
Guys, it is now official. Tyler Clippard is an all-star. The Major League office just announced that Clippard will replace Julio Teheran on the National League roster. The reason that it took this long for the league office to make this announcement is because, as you said, Bob, Teheran is pitching today for the Braves. He's now through 3 innings, and if they had pulled him early in that game because he'd gotten hit around or if he needed to leave the game for a non-physical reason, he could have still pitched Tuesday in the Midsummer Classic. But now that he's thrown 3 innings, there's no chance that he'll be able to go on Tuesday. So Tyler Clippard replaces Teheran on the roster, and he will be the Nats' lone in-person representative in Minneapolis.
Yeah, there's no way Teheran's coming out with a 7-0 lead after 3 innings. Congratulations to Tyler. He was the winning pitcher his first time.
Well deserved.
Yes, sir. That makes all of us feel a whole lot better about Tuesday night.
Well, I think that Major League Baseball needs to readdress the fact that if somebody gets injured on a given team and that's the only representative, that the replacement should be from that team.
I think that's a great call, and you know what? It should be a no-brainer.
And there's got to always be 2 guys that are close to being an all-star selection. Yeah. It's not like you have to go get somebody hitting 220 if somebody gets hurt. There's a few people from every team that are deserving.
Well, and like we said, regarding pitchers, and another base hit, Jimmy Rollins this time. No pitcher in an all-star game really pitches more than 1 inning anymore, so what difference does it make, starter or reliever? So Tanner Roark now has to deal with Chase Utley.
Good swing by Rollins.
Utley's pulled it twice on the ground. Once to Rendon, once to LaRoche. First pitch curveball, a beauty. Let's revisit that graphic from earlier. Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins. I don't think anybody's ever going to catch Lou Whitaker and Alan Trammell again. They were amazing for the Tigers all those years. Glenn Beckert, Don Kessinger for the Cubs. And a little tapper by Utley. Roark, 1 play. Lobaton says 1, and he throws it to first base for the out.
It's about getting outs right now. A good play by Roark. Peanuts, your summer home for the future stars of the Washington Nationals. There are tons of promotion at the Fitz. I think you know them all by now. Dollar Mondays looks good to me. Bobbleheads each month. You can eat kids for free on Sundays. Go to PotomacNationals.com or call the number on your screen.
Ryan Howard has flied to center and grounded to first. Rendon in short right field. Desmond up the middle, and Zimmerman stays home near third. Ian right behind Jimmy Rollins, and Ryan to the left of Grady Sizemore. Howard rips it. He'll get an RBI. LaRoche gets an out, and both teams are happy. 7-1 ball game. Ryan Howard with his 56th RBI of the season. Next up, Marlon Bird 0 for 1, hit by a pitch, and a strikeout by Roark, ending the 4th inning.
I mean, not to stir the pot, but I'm about to.
Okay.
I wonder what Mike Matheny's reasoning was to picking Tyler Clippard instead of Drew Storm, or even Soriano for that matter. When you look at the numbers of the other two guys, I mean, Tyler Clippard deserving 6-2 with a 2.03, but Drew Storm is 2-1 with a 1.20. 206 average against. His numbers are ridiculous, as are Soriano's. 1-0 with a 0.97. Yeah, either one of those two guys right there, or Soriano, and
yeah,
we're glad that the Nats have Tyler Clippard, and congratulations. But you're just wondering, the thought process that goes into all this, I'm sure, is just maddening for Mike Matheny, because it's confused us. I know that. Can't be easy to try to win a pennant and pick an all-star team and do all that all at once. You see,
I just wonder if there will come a day when they take it out of the hands of that manager. I mean, he's playing a weekend series against a team he's tied for first place with, and he's got people all over the country mad at him about different things with all-star selections. I just wonder about this whole manager thing with those extra guys. Would it be better served to have a committee decide the all-star teams after the fans get their vote? We don't want the fans to ever lose their vote, and Tanner Roark holds the Phillies to 1 run in the 6th inning. By authority of the Washington Nationals, and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Washington Nationals. Top of the 7th. Hopefully for the Nats, just 3 innings to go before the All-Star break. 7-1 lead here in Philadelphia. One of the great bobbleheads coming up. First 20 with the outfield wall and everything.
Yeah,
like
first 25,000 fans will get that on July 20th, 1:35. Get it all Gates. That's presented by PNC. That's a good one. Who wants what? About 2.
What's next?
3?
Worth with a full moon?
Ooh.
I'll take the early credit for that one. Marketing department.
That's good. Masson Dan with his red polo.
Denard Span slaps it the other way. Jimmy Rollins backhand. He can still pick it. And he retires the speedy Span. Top of the 7th underway. Rendon and Worth the next two. So Bruce Bochy took Tyler Clippard back in 2011 at Chase Field in Phoenix, and he was the pitcher of record when the National League got the lead and he got the win. Great to see Tyler going north to Minneapolis this time.
Well, he hitched a ride with the middle infielder last time. Maybe he can hitch a ride with Chase Utley after the game today.
They could put me in a Greyhound bus and I'd be there. That'll be great for Tyler. 2-0 to Rendon, who has a 2-hit day. He tried to unleash a long fly ball with that one. Facing Mario Hollins for the first time. And then there's Mr. Worth, who has scored twice today and driven in 3. And Rendon hits it a ton to right. Bird backing up. He's on the track. 2 outs.
Let's have some yellow wood bringing the lumber, and Jason Worth definitely brought the lumber to Philadelphia in Citizens Bank Park this series. Let's go back to last night. 1-0 game. Worth with the first RBI decides to add 2 more to it to make it 3-0. And then today a 3-run tater in the first inning. So 3 more RBI. 6 RBI in the last 2 games for the Nationals right fielder. Just bring lumber. He brought the good stuff. Hit speed on the first tater.
I'm going to guess 98.
With the tater today. 96. You overbid and you don't win the showcase.
That's all. You get to come on down.
But I like that, and I think we should start doing that. Let's guess the hit speed.
Predicting hit speed.
Yes.
Sure. On 2-0, right in there. Nats have hit 1 home run off this pitcher this year. Now that would be a hard guess. It was Zach Walters. The 3-1 pitch. And Worth will take the 2-out walk. He's on for the 3rd time.
That's an impressive bat for a lot of reasons. And the Jason Worth fan right there holding up the jersey. When you're in a 7-1 game going into an all-star break, a lot of times your mind wanders. You don't take the at-bat as serious as maybe you would in a 1-1 ball game. But Jason Worth taking balls, swinging at strikes. Still very focused.
And another one called a strike. It's 0-2.
See the Rose saying, was that out?
That one is. And that fastball upstairs. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And that'll do it for the Nationals in the top of the 7th. Plenty of offense today, though. And we arrive at our 7th inning stretch here in Philadelphia. It's brought to you by Hyundai, and some Nats fans taking a nice walk, feeling pretty good about this one. 3 in the first, 4 in the 6th. Tanner Roark pitching well. It's all Nats. 7-1. For the achiever in you, and by visitannapolis.org. Find it here. Chicken cheesesteaks, thus the lighter color. Is nothing sacred?
Apparently
Chicken
not.
cheesesteaks in Philadelphia.
Apparently not, from what we just heard.
Our next television game will be Friday. Nats will be back home. Hope you are with us on Masson if you're not at the ballpark. Milwaukee Brewers in for 3. And the Nats won't see Bernie Brewer, but they'll see some pretty good pitching in that series. They will see Kyle Loesch, they'll see Matt Garza, and they will see Giovanni Gallardo. And we'll see what 3 the Nats start things off with. A 4-day break. Baseball again next Friday. So one of the few times during the season where there won't be a game tomorrow, the next day, or the next 2 days after that. With more on Jordan Zimmermann now, here's Dan.
Guys, for anyone who might have missed it last night, Jordan Zimmermann got an MRI on his right arm. Remember, he left Friday's game complaining of just kind of a biceps cramp. The MRI revealed a right biceps strain, which the Nationals feel isn't significant enough to land Zimmermann on the disabled list. Now, what's good here is that with the All-Star break, the Nationals can choose to restructure their rotation. They can bump Jordan back and have him be the 5th Nats starter to come out of the break. So he could go July 22nd. He could get the time off over the break. That would give him 10 days rest if he is the final starter to go to start the second half. So the Nats don't feel that Zimmermann will need to land on the disabled list. He will get a good chunk of time to rest up, and they hope that he'll be able to go for them after the break without having to miss a turn.
Yeah, good stuff, Dan. Calendar definitely works for the Nats in this situation.
That's some kind of relief.
Here's Tanner Roark against Cody Ashe. And a 1-pitch out if Zimmermann takes care of it. The Nats were here on Friday night taking on the Phillies when Jordan Zimmermann signaled to the bench that he needed to come out of the game after facing 1+ hitters in the 4th inning.
Oh, scary for a number of reasons. A, Jordan Zimmermann already had Tommy John surgery, so your mind was wandering and wondering. And then he's one of the tougher guys on the whole ball club. So when he waved Matt Williams and Lee Kuntz and Steve McCatty out of the dugout, that's when I think everybody in it's a Nats fan and everybody in the third base dugout started worrying.
Roark, strike 1. Cameron Rupp. Tanner Roark went 7 his last time out against the Cubs. 7-2 loss, 9 hits, 4 runs. Had to hang around for a while. after getting roughed up a bit. Last time he pitched 7 innings in a win, that's been a while. He got 8 at San Diego back in June in a 6-0 W. San Diego has become the second best ERA in the league. Nats have been hanging in there at number 1 for quite a while now. As I mentioned earlier, Oakland in the American League, second best in the entire big leagues at 3.12. That's right on the corner. Perfect.
Shows you that stat right there, that if San Diego had any kind of offense, every other team in there competing, contending.
Yeah, they're 11 games behind the Dodgers. That is really close. Roark with a slider, just missed. Counts 3-2. Cameron Rupp has struck out twice. And a one-hopper, Zimmerman. First throw he makes in this series. 2-hopper to LaRoche, and Adam gets to the bag. And Ryan, hands on his knees from third base, watching as Adam LaRoche saved him an error.
Yeah, watching Ryan right now, I don't think that felt real good. Just his reaction after the play. Good play by LaRoche, picking it, getting back to the base, the footwork, but going to his right here. Tries to one-hop it. That was by design. 3-hopped it, and LaRoche with a nice job picking his third baseman up.
Yeah, that's the first throwing play for Ryan this entire series. There's Ben Revere. 1 for 2. Base hit to right center and a strikeout.
I thought the shot we had of Ryan Zimmerman in the dugout in Baltimore the other night when he was the DH, kind of playing with his shoulder and trying to stretch it and flex it, was very telling. On the day when he didn't have to throw a baseball, that he was still feeling his right shoulder.
And a 1-1. Fastball right in there. Tanner Roark continues to throw strikes as he is just beyond 100 pitches here. Try to go at least 7 for the 7th time this year. And the run back fastball just stayed inside. So last time out, 87. His season high 107 at San Diego. And he had those 8 great innings back in June. And a ball hit well to center, but Denard Span right there. Ben Revere laces one. He's gone. So are the Phils in the 7th. Ryan Zimmerman ahead the 8th. It's all Nats. 7-1. There's 7 really good innings today. A run on only 4 hits all day. 2 of those hits in the 6th. This guy's going to go into the All-Star break with 8 wins.
And have a good All-Star break, too. Great effort today by Tanner Roark here against the Phillies.
Tony Gwynn Jr. on a double switch will take over at center for the Phillies here in the top of the 8th. Their new pitcher will be right-hander Justin DeFreitas. 26 ball game, 2.45 ERA, 20 Ks, 26 innings, and the league getting 2.29 against him.
Key today for Tanner Roark, I think, was Jason Worth's first swing. A 3-run homer. It allowed Tanner Roark to relax with a 3-run cushion in a very small ballpark against a team that's swinging the bat well, and he just executed all of his pitches whenever he needed them, and didn't really keep the ball down like he normally does with the ground ball outs, but he overpowered a lot of Phillies hitters and had the good tempo going and kept his defense in the ball game as usual.
There's Ryan Zimmerman, who's had 2 great swings today. Liner to left, a liner to right. And the second one for a sacrifice fly. Ryan against Justin DeFreitas' career 0 for 5. And that ball is hit a ton deep left center. See you later. One of the deepest parks of this park. And Ryan Zimmerman has his 4th of the year.
Well, he finally said, I'm going to elevate one. Lined out to left. It was a bullet. If it had any elevation, it would have been out of here. Sacrifice fly to right. It was a bullet last time up. Low line drive. And he finally got underneath one. And look how far this one goes. My goodness. I just saw Mike Schmidt between innings, and he said that he felt that Ryan Zimmerman was one of the best hitters he's ever seen with men in scoring position. That he loved his swing, and he loved how he got on top of the baseball and created backspin. High praise from a Hall of Famer, one third baseman to another, but Mike Schmidt saying that about Zimmerman about an inning ago.
If memory serves me correctly, and there's Michael Jack, who hit a few like that in his career. That's the second longest homer Ryan's hit in this ballpark. He went well up into the upper deck in left field here several seasons ago. But that was some kind of blast. Where that ball left the ballpark, it's about 405, and that wall out there is about 19 feet high. And Bryce Harper, 0-2. Protect mode, serving one out of play. Well, the Nats 2 more home runs today, 82 on the year. And Bryce hanging in there. Well, that's what you call getting a run back. And the Nats have their 7-run advantage again. Bryce singled sharply up the middle last time up.
About 430 on that home run.
Yeah, well, that at the 409 mark, just to the right of where that ball landed, that wall is 19 feet high, and he cleared that. Pretty good changeup, but Harper a good take. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Kevin Franzen has a bat. Somebody may be getting the rest of the day off. Although Ian Desmond is on deck. If it gets down to the number 9 spot, the Nats will pinch hit. And there's Ross Detweiler, who got his first win of the year last night.
Boy, he'd fit in with some of those teams of the 90s here in Philadelphia with his hair.
Harper strikes out. Desmond and Lobaton now the next two. A couple of years ago, Zimmerman hit that upper deck home run. They used to put the player's mug up on the scoreboard up there in left field. It covered almost the entire video board. And we had a replay from the first base camera. I thought Ryan was going to hit himself in the nose with that thing. The picture of the player used to be about 3 times the size of that.
I'm not sure, but I think I remember him hitting one into the bullpen in right center field here a couple of years ago.
I think you are right.
And into the Nats bullpen, which is on top.
Second level. And Desmond saw that breaking ball hanging upstairs. Couldn't quite get to it. And Desmond gone, 2 outs.
You could join the millions of players right now on the only official Home Run Derby mobile game from MLB.com. Download today for free on the Apple App Store and Google Play. And be sure to catch the Home Run Derby tomorrow and the All-Star game on Tuesday. Home Run Derby on ESPN, game on Fox.
102 on that home run. That's exactly what I would have predicted.
There's so much for playing guess the hit speed. That lasted long.
Yeah, they beat us to that one. And Lobaton a ground ball. Chase Utley. Nats are gone in the 8th, but they tack on another, and I mean a big one, by Ryan Zimmerman. Second RBI today, sac fly earlier. He has crushed the ball 3 times. As FP said, got elevation with that, and that is way, way out there to deep left center. Base or runners in scoring position. High praise indeed. And Ryan Zimmerman now, with his 4th home run of the year, has 183 career, just ahead of Jason Worth. There's Ross Detweiler. You think Matt Williams is maybe a little curious to see Detweiler 2 days in a row here?
Yeah, that, and you know, he has confidence in Detweiler in the sense that, you know, he pitched on Friday, did a good job, and then now, you know, he's going to start seeing some innings that are a little more meaningful than he did earlier in the season, just because he's got the cut fastball, the 2-seam fastball working, and he's actually experimented with a fork ball that he featured in his last outing, a little split finger job that he's throwing out too. DC area Toyota dealers want to help children and their families by making a donation of $37 to the Children's Inn at NIH for every strikeout by a Nats pitcher this season.
Now this is unusual. Tony Gwynn Jr. came in on a double switch to bat ninth and play center field. And now they're going to pinch hit for him with John Mayberry Jr. John Mayberry Jr. as a pinch hitter, pretty good, 9 for 22. 3 homers, 11 RBIs, more than pretty good.
Assuming Tony Gwynn Jr. is healthy in an 8-1 game, I'd be a little hacked off if my manager went matchup and I was supposed to hit lefty, righty. I wouldn't care. I just want the at-bat.
I was surprised. In fact, I was looking at my scorebook saying, okay, did they really make a double switch? And yes, they did. I don't think I've ever seen a manager do that.
I get it if it's a one-run game or a tie game. You want to play matchup baseball, but you also want to you insert a guy into the ball game. Excited to get an at-bat.
And Detweiler throws a towering pop-up. Ryan Zimmerman trotting in right along the third baseline. Foul ball when he caught it, 1 out. Next up, Grady Sizemore and then Jimmy Rollins here in the Philadelphia 8th. Look at that great fastball. A lot of action, sinking, running under the hands of the left-handed batter. Ballpark really quiet in Philly. 30,185 paid today. Many have departed. Phillies are now 9th in the National League in attendance. And the count, 1 ball, 2 strikes to Grady Sizemore. Great ballpark, and 18 days before the trading deadline is over. Decisions to be made by the front office. It sits right behind us here. Detweiler staying inside on Sizemore.
I mean, could be used as a big-time weapon in the second half. Matchups against lefties, 7th inning of a 1-run game, whether you're tied or behind. You know, yeah. Drew Storm, the 7th inning guy when you're ahead. Could be a very crucial part of the bullpen moving forward in a pennant race.
And he's got that heat, 95. 2 outs.
And I think that was the plan all along, but Detweiler had trouble adjusting to the whole new role and now seems to have tons of confidence in embracing it. You just go back to that 4-inning stint in Milwaukee in that 16-inning game. I think that's where the confidence blossomed.
Yeah, I think that was his watershed moment. You're right. I will say one thing for Ross. I think all of us sensed that the whole becoming a reliever thing was very uncomfortable for him, but he never said a word. He went out and did his work, pitched whenever he was asked to. And as you said now, more confidence in more meaningful situations. But he's been a good Nat through the whole thing.
Also shaving the mustache off, that had a lot to do with it. I feel
that got things updated a little bit, I think.
Cleaned it up.
2-0 pitch. And it's hitting well out to center, but Denard Span's going to drift with it. Back pedal, reach and grab it. It's a 1-2-3-8 for Ross Detweiler. So earlier, chicken cheesesteaks, and now the consummation of a turkey leg at the ballpark. You judge for yourself.
A big Nats fan. Just wondering where Carlos is. We promised you earlier in the game. Here's your AT&T fan photo. Nice looking pair of Nats fans there at Nats Park, and that might be Adam LaRoche right behind him in the background with his Oakleys on. All right, guys.
They're saying, hey, Masson. Nate McLouth will pinch hit.
I'm just saying that second half might be a little small.
And on the first pitch, John Mayberry Jr. just took over in center field, 1 out. Ninth inning underway. Top of the order, Span and Rendon the next 2.
Still not sure what we saw going to break, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, Ryan Zimmerman said it well years ago. The Exmo can sure make you look good, and it can sure make you look bad.
Yeah. I don't think
he was thinking about a turkey leg when he made that statement.
Yeah, I might eat tomorrow after seeing that.
Denard Span 1 for 4, base hit, run scored, ahead of the Worth home run back in the first. It's like Aaron Barrett will come on for the 9th inning after a really clean 8th by Ross Detweiler. And Denard looks it all the way in, 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, Denard and Rendon combining 3 out of 8 so far today. They have scored 3 runs. They've set the table for some rallies, 2 different rallies today. And Denard will get jammed and foul it straight back out of play. So if everything holds here, the Nats would go into the break with a .500 record on the road, trying to make it 23-23 today.
And looking forward to the second half of the season, or after the All-Star break, however you want to phrase it. Health, obviously, the main issue.
And Denard Span has a 2-hit day. That one too hard for Jimmy Rollins to get to. So Span and Rendon combining for 4 base hits.
Because I feel like if Matt Williams could keep running this lineup out there on a daily basis, with Wilson Ramos catching, obviously, that talent plays. And over the long haul, if he can run this lineup out over the last, 70-something games?
69 left after today.
69. You should accomplish what you want to, but it's all based on health. Obviously based on performance. And when Bryce Harper gets locked in and you add him to the mix. I had somebody from ESPN yesterday, Carp, ask me in the media dining room, why have the Nats underperformed in the first half of the season? And I said, well, when you look at all the injuries they have and they're in first place, have they?
Yeah.
I mean, Gio Gonzalez, and help me out here with the injuries. Bryce Harper, Ryan Zimmerman, Adam LaRoche, Wilson Ramos twice.
Frontline players, star players.
Doug Fister joining the club 30 days into the season for his first start. And Matt Williams was asked yesterday, with all that, if they would have told you you'd be in first place at the All-Star break, would you have taken it? He said, absolutely. Every single day and twice on Sunday. And I think people that think the Nats underperformed in the first half really haven't been paying attention to the ball club and all the injuries and what they've had to overcome.
Yeah.
All teams have to, but they're still in first place without their lineup together for, I don't know, it's been a handful of days.
Well, 2/5 of the rotation and half of the lineup beaten up a good portion of the mythical first half of the season. We're, as of today, 12 games beyond the halfway point.
I don't think it's going on a limb. Stay healthy and good things are going to happen.
Absolutely. Rendon, you go out to deep left center. Mayberry, after this, he can only watch it. That's high off the wall. Span will score easily. And now Anthony Rendon has a 3-hit day. That's his 42nd extra base hit of the year. He drives in his 53rd. The Nats lead 8-1.
Tony Two Bags, 24th double of the season. I mean, can this guy hit or what? Look at him just stay through that ball. Kind of let the throttle out right there. That's one of the more aggressive swings you'll see from Anthony Rendon. And it just misses the deepest part of the ballpark. And his 14th home run, but he'll take the double.
And let me add one on. It's 9-1 Nats. With back-to-back hits here. One out. Here's Worth. One for two today with a 3-run homer. He's been hit by a pitch and scored and walked. The Nats have pounded out 9 runs, and they've used the hits well. It's on 11 base hits.
And not throwing away or wasting at bats. Still grinding them out right to the end of a laugher.
Yeah. And a breaking ball. He hammers it to left center. Rendon, he's coming around to score. The Nats lead 10-1. Bob Henley had the slow motion windmill going on that one. And Rendon knew he had no chance to be thrown out. And Jason Worth has 7 RBIs in this series.
There he is. He's digging it. Well, it's always hard for a third base coach in a game that's decided whether you waive a guy or not. But an RBI is an RBI. And you know, when you're talking about a guy getting 99 or 100 at the end of the season, you stop guys if you think there's going to be a play at the plate. If there's not going to be a play, you waive them, and that's what Bob Henley did.
It is all Nats big time today, and further now into the Phillies bullpen. Cronenworth gets the rest of the day off. 2 hits, 4 runs batted in, 2 runs scored. The man has 54 RBIs at the All-Star break. He drove in 10 this week. So you look at the National League, the Nats, of those 6, the fewest number of wins, but also the fewest number of losses. A couple of games in hand over Atlanta. So, I don't know. If the season ended today, one of those teams would not be in the playoffs. And those are quality ball clubs. Milwaukee is definitely on the biggest downer of these 6, even though they're hammering St. Louis today 8-1. They're trying to break a 7-game losing streak.
If the Dodgers lose today, that would make the Nats 9 games over, same record as the Dodgers, and they have the best record in the big leagues right now. And the Nats have the best run differential in the National League, so if that's underachieving, bring it on. Keep underachieving all the way till October.
Adam LaRoche against right-hander Jeff Manship, 29-year-old reliever, previously with Minnesota and Colorado. And LaRoche will roll one over. Ryan Howard, that's Jimmy Rollins, and a return throw. That'll be a 3-6-1 double play, and that'll get this game into the bottom of the 9th. The Nats put a ton on the board today. Way and the Nats to feel good about things for a 4-day rest period. Nate McLouth will stay in the ball game and play right field after batting 4. Ross Detweiler. Ryan Zimmerman will be at first base, so Adam LaRoche out for the rest of the day. And I think you know who's going to be over third now. It's got to be Kevin Franzen, right? And there's Aaron Barrett, who takes over on the mound for 3 more outs. The young guys had a very interesting first half of a big league season.
Oh, he's learning. He's gaining experience, learning on the fly. Had to readjust his little routine there. You see him double set up around his hat. He was coming double set around the belt. Joe West decided to change all that. He's done a nice job.
By the way, a footnote on the Nats offense today. They stranded 3 base runners all day while scoring 10 runs on 12 hits. Some of the best efficiency all year, and there's Kevin. Franzen is over at third base. For the Phils, Utley, Howard, and Bird. Bottom of the 9th against Aaron Barrett. And it looks like they will hit for him. Is that Andres Blanco or Cesar Hernandez? We'll check it out. It's Cesar Hernandez for Utley. Cesar Hernandez, 24-year-old switching infielder from Venezuela. Hit .289 in 34 games here a year ago. And that ball picked out of the dirt by Jose Lobaton, handling his third pitcher of the day. Then Barrett, 3-0.
I wonder, just for argument's sake, if you could do that double pump with nobody on and then change to what he's doing right now with somebody on. You know, the one where he came double set right around the belt. It was a double set because he never stopped on the first one. I guess he's trying to make the adjustment.
And a ball hit hard to Franzen. Kevin turns it around in a hurry. The runner is safe, and Cesar Hernandez was flying down the first base line. He might have beaten that even if Zimmerman picked it. I wouldn't be surprised if they give him a hit.
That is it. He was going to beat it. You know, Franzen playing in, took his time, set himself one extra shuffle, and that was the difference. Watch, one shuffle, two shuffle, three shuffles. Two shuffles, he gets him. Three shuffles, he's safe.
And they've given Kevin Franzen an error.
Huh. That might get changed.
That might. It's only the Nationals' second error in the last 2.5 weeks.
Come into a big league game, ball going to find you every time.
Yeah, it's hard to believe a home team player would not get a hit on that call. Ryan Howard 0 for 3, RBI ground ball last time. And Barrett gets him to roll one over. 2 balls, 1 strike. Final check of the scoreboard. They're in the 7th at Wrigley. Braves 10, Cubs 2. A game that has almost paralleled this one. And the Mets hammered Miami at home today, 9-1. New York goes into the All-Star break 5 games under 500.
Milwaukee up 9-1 against the Cardinals in the 7th.
Yeah, that's a battle for first place. So Milwaukee looks like they'll break their 7-game losing streak and feel a little better about coming to Washington on Friday. Nats took 2 out of 3 up there. And then Barrett throws away the slider.
A lot like when Ross Detweiler came into games early in the season that really weren't high leverage games. These games determine how the manager uses you going forward. Even though it's 10-1 right now, for Aaron Barrett, throwing strikes is crucial. It's always crucial for any pitcher, but you have to show the skipper that you can establish a strike zone, come in and throw your fastball slider combo and get some outs. That's how you get the 7th, 8th, or 9th and say a tie ball game. And
yeah,
down by 1. We always talk about how the bullpen when you're behind is just as important as the bullpen when you're ahead.
And he walks him on 3-2. An error, a wild pitch, and a walk. Bottom of the 9th, off to a sloppy start. Now Marlon Byrd will be the hitter. So we think in a few minutes the Nats will be 51-42. The Braves will be 52-43, having played 2 more games. The Mets would leapfrog over the Marlins, which they already have, and be 6 out. And the Phillies would be 10 back. Some business to take care of here. Marlon Byrd today hit by a pitch. He's 0 for 2. And Aaron Barrett able to get ahead. Slider way outside. And Aaron just having a hard time finding the plate. That's 95 well off.
Even a 10-1 game for a young player, these situations can start moving real fast when you're not throwing strikes and your mind starts to turn. And what you really have to do is be able to control the situation and tell yourself, one good pitch and I got 2 outs. I just need a ground ball right here. And be focused on this pitch and not what's happened previously.
Great fastball low in the zone for the strikeout.
Nicely done. Yeah, nice comeback right here. Everything on the outside corner to Bird, but 95 overpowers him for strike 3.
Cody Ashe now with 2 on 1 out. Cameron Rupp, the catcher, on deck.
I'm going to listen to this song on the way home, I think. I mean, whether I want to or not.
Ashe today 1 for 3 with a double. That ball hooked hard into the seats. So the Phillies about to go into the break 11 under 500. I think the big shocker would be 10 of that at home. They're looking at a 19-29 home record. And a ball out to left center. It's going to drop. Plugs the gap. 1 run is scored. It's a double by Ashe. And a 10-2 game. That first run will be unearned because of the Franzen error, which still might be changed at some point.
Well, that's when it gets a little more complicated when earned runs are involved.
Yeah.
It's just a hit or an error and no runs scored. Sometimes they're easier to change, and now Steve McCatty going to come out to the mound and try to calm Barrett down. Cody Ashe can hit. You wonder, though, if not just losing last night, but the way this game has gone for the Phillies so far, still 2 outs to get, that all that goodwill that was spreading around here with the 5-game winning streak somehow is, we're back to where we were before.
It can go in a hurry, can't it?
Yeah, I mean, they were struggling before the road trip. The Pirates thumped them pretty good.
Yeah, the Phillies have been one of the real roller coaster teams in the league for the last month or so. They had a good streak a couple weeks ago.
That's the first time the Pirates had swept the Phillies since 2002.
Cameron Rupp 0 for 3. Runners at second and third. Then he falls behind. I was just thinking, you throw 95, you don't have to be perfect to the knees on the outside corner with a heater. You can throw it up and challenge a guy, and that's what Aaron did right there.
I'm sure Steve McCatty had the old trust your stuff line out there when he went to the mound.
And plenty of stuff this guy has. That's the hard slider.
Good block by Lobaton.
2-1. Tanner Roark, 1 run on 4 hits in 7. Didn't walk anybody. 6 strikeouts. Set a great tone for this one. Got the 3-run lead early. Knew what to do with it. Detweiler, a clean 8th. All the offense you could hope for. And 2 outs to get here. This will be one of them with another run scoring. So all the Philly runs in this inning will be unearned. As Howard comes home. Now a 10-3 ball game. Byron Kerr is in the studio with Ray Knight today. Nats Extra about to come on. And it'll be Dominic Brown now for the pitcher, batting for the Phillies. And Barrett suddenly finding his heater. Fly ball left side. We are into the All-Star break, and the Nats take 2 out of 3 in Philadelphia.
Really impressed with the focus and the way the Nats came out today. All business, and didn't take the All-Star break a day before the All-Star break happened. I mean, they wanted to win 2 out of 3, and even after they were up, you could see the at-bats. They stayed focused. And a very impressive win for the Nationals as they charge into the All-Star break.
Yeah, you don't get too many lappers along the way. The Nats get 1 today. And they will go into the break 9 games over 500, tied for first place. And that is great considering everything this ball club has been through. Friday, Masson. Brewers are coming in. First of a 3-game series. 6:30 Nats Extra Friday night. This has been a Masson presentation and a Nats series win in Philadelphia. They're 6-3 this year against the Phils. 3-3 here. So stay tuned for the boys coming up with Nats Extra. And from the booth in Philly, see you later.